Welcome to Ghost Tales. I am your host, Ashley Knight. Here with us today is, oh my goodness, I love having him back. This is Scott Witchman.
Witchman, yeah. Rhymes with Richmond.
Right?
Yeah.
He was on just recently talking about a Sherlock Carol and kind of a ghostly theme there as well. And he's fresh off of playing Jacob Marley
In the Christmas
in
Carol.
The Christmas Carol. You did the matinee for that one, and we were joking about we should have brought the chains,
Yeah.
and you said,
I said, yeah, I have him dragging behind my car, sparking all the way through the tunnel.
because you sped on over
Yeah,
here
I
so
sped on
fast.
over here. Yeah.
We're glad you made
It's,
it.
thanks for having me
We're
back.
glad you made it. Today we're talking about, now, when you were here last, you told me you had this interesting experience with a house in Richmond.
Yeah.
And tell me about, okay, so you lived in, when did you live in Richmond?
So I lived in Richmond from about 1998 to 2020. And I'm a Navy reservist, as well as an actor, as well as a singer. And,
Because you were based in Italy.
yeah, and I was
for
in
a while.
Italy for a while, and
Yeah.
then I got a set of orders here to Reserve Forces Command, and came here to Norfolk and love the community. My wife and I live in Ocean View. We just love the community, and we got involved with theater and just all the wonderful things that the Norfolk area has to offer. But I do go back and forth to Richmond a lot. Having that connection between the 804 and the 757 is really kind of awesome. But when I'm 52 now, but when I think it was like 25 years ago. So it was the year 2000,
Y2K.
Yeah, it was scary to begin with, right?
Right.
So, I was in my mid 20s, and when you're a little directionless and kind of a shiftless layabout, I guess, or a rascal. That's what I would characterize. You could put that under
As his
here.
lower
Shiftless
third, yeah.
layabout probably is the best.
Its title.
But I lived with like 5 other guys. We first we lived in this apartment that was way too small, and then my buddy found this place on a corner in Richmond, Virginia, in the Fan District, and a lot of the houses there are very, very old, and there are always, I find that, we were talking earlier, a good way to open people up is when you say like, hey, tell me a joke or tell me a ghost story. And people forget about themselves. They focus on the ghost story. Well, this was kind of my ghost story. And it happened when we moved into the house, but I was kind of like the guy in the 6 guys who just kind of didn't see anything for a while. So I'm like the one moving through as all my roommates have all these weird
Having these
experiences.
experiences. Oh, that's funny.
And I
They're
was
thinking we got to leave one out of the loop
Right.
just to make it interesting.
he's the dumb one. So so what I didn't know for a long time was that from the jump, my roommates were starting to have strange experiences. One of my roommates who lived in this one room, there were, I'll
Was
talk-
it like a townhouse?
Yeah,
type
I'll
of-
sort of talk about the dimensions of the house. I think the house was built in the early 1900s, but it was big.
Yeah.
And it had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rooms upstairs, one of which was like a little makeshift kitchenette. Yeah, it was like, and downstairs there was, the kitchen was in the back of the house. There was a front room that had a glass in, and that's where we put the air conditioner in. And we're like, keep the door shut because you're going to let the air conditioning out. And then there was this big dining room and a little utility room off the hall. And there was these like half spiral staircase that went up the back that connected the kitchen to the second floor, and the front staircase that went all the way up. So if you stood at the top step of the back staircase, you could see down the hall, and those 2 staircases connected. So, which is kind of cool. But I did not know that anything was happening.
So they didn't tell you?
They didn't tell me. Like they didn't.
How rude.
I was working a lot in theater. I was constantly on the move. I did a lot of like, I'm gonna do my laundry. I'm gonna wolf down a bowl of cereal, leave it in the sink like a 25-year-old, and then
Like you do.
rush off and do my thing. And so I was sort of on my own program a little bit more than some of my other roommates, but.
Were they all in the Navy?
They
Or-
they were all in various
Okay.
jobs in show business.
You were all
and-
various layabouts.
Yeah, various layabouts. But we're also it's really interesting because we were all at this point in our lives just before we launched into like a
What
buddy
would be the rest of your
the rest
life,
of your
kind of,
life.
yeah.
You know, I had a pal. He was dating this girl in D.C. They're married now. They live in the Outer Banks. They have 2 kids. Those kids are like, one of them's in high school and the other one's in college. One of them lives up in D.C. The other one is a stuntman in California. You know, like it's just amazing to see the direction that our lives took on. But we
Yeah.
were all sort of like just on the precipice of becoming who we were.
Yeah.
And so my buddy, who's now the stuntman in California, his room upstairs was always significantly colder than the other rooms in the house. Which, of course, if you're like a paranormal aficionado, that's sort of like a sign. But he would wake up in the middle of the night and he would feel this like pressure on his chest, like someone is. There's like night terrors, and he would feel someone like almost sitting on him. And, you know, most of these things I didn't find out until later on.
After you moved out, or
After,
were you?
yeah, after I had my experience and I said, you guys are never going to guess what happened to me. And they were
They're
like,
we've been waiting.
yeah,
for
they
this.
went, yeah, they're like, yeah,
We've been keeping a diary.
yeah, you're not quick on the uptake. But I guess one of the strange things that I noticed, one of my friends that lives in DC now, he was touring with a theater company, and they did like children's tours, like the House at Pooh Corner and stuff like that. And he was gone for a long time. And one day I came home and I'm walking through the house and I noticed the second floor hallway closet was open, and I looked in it and there was like a square hole in the attic with sunshine coming through. And I'm like, I was like, I'd never been in the attic before. I climb up in the attic and I'm like, wow, I've never been up here before, but I can hear someone on the roof. So I climb up there and my friend has this reaction like in a movie. He's like, he feels me near him and he like jumps, he like freaks out, turns. He's like smoking Camel Lights, like chain smoking Camel Lights, right? And like stamping them out. Right? Like someone who's like at off-track betting or something, and hoping his horse comes in. But his face was like green, and he was listening to Enigma's Sadness Part 1,
Oh,
right? He's
yeah.
listening to that
Yep.
on his
Yep.
headphones.
Oh gosh.
Right. And I'm like,
The
dude,
soundtrack of our lives.
But he like, his face jerks around and he literally looks like he's seen a ghost. But I'm like, hey, are you all right? And he's like, no, I'm all right. It's just, I had a weird afternoon. And I was like, okay, great. Well, I'll talk to you later. And I just took off. What I did not know was that he had arrived back at home.
Okay, hold on a minute. I'm going to stop you
Yeah,
right
we're-
there because we're going to take a break. real quick.
Cliffhanger.
Can we have a recording of you just doing that and play it right before every break that we take? All right, we'll be right back. Welcome back to Ghost Tales. I'm your host, Ashley Knight. And here with us is Gilbert Gottfried.
It's Gilbert Gottfried. I'm going to tell you a ghost story about the place that strange things happen in this house.
Scott Witchman is with us today and his mini cast of characters. So you spooked. That's
Yeah.
quite a phrase.
Yeah.
Spooked your roommate on the
roof of the house. So and I was just like, I sort of was like, that's strange, and I took off. So what I did not know was that Eric was the first person home. He had just gotten home from this tour, and he like,
theatrical.
yeah, a theatrical
Not
tour.
naval.
Yeah, not a naval tour. He got home from this like theatrical tour, and he was the only person in the house, and so he opened the door and he shut the door, and then he kind of felt like a little queasy for just a second, and then he went to the back kitchen to pour himself water from the Brita filter, and so he pours the water from the Brita filter, and then he decides he's going to go upstairs to his room and lay down for a little bit. So remember, I said the back staircase near the kitchen led you to the second floor, and you could see down the second floor hallway. So he gets to the top step of the house, and he looks down the hall, and out of one of the other rooms, he sees this man step like silently out of one of the rooms, and he said that he didn't have any footfalls, that the front portion of the man moved and the back caught up with it like it was a light trail going around
Oh, wow.
around a bend on a
Yeah,
on a rainy night. You know, that sort of, but that just that image, the way that he told me about it, coming up the stairs and just looking and seeing this guy, this guy didn't have a face, right, and he just kind of moved across to the landing to the front stairs. So if somebody was there, you could go down the stairs and you could meet them in the front as they come down the stairs. So he was kind of freaked out and taken aback by this thing that just moved quietly, drifted across the hallway toward the stairs, and then he just bolted downstairs to try and catch the guy
At the bottom.
he wasn't he didn't come down the stairs. And then Eric ran up the stairs and he looks around.
He's gone.
The guy was gone.
Wow.
And the next thing that happens is like Eric just decides to go to the roof for refuge. I don't know, but he like
To think about it for a
puts his
minute.
music on and he's like smoking.
Enya, 'cause that's what you do.
Yeah, Enya, right. And he's like smoking cigarettes. And I'm the next person that like, hey, what's going on? You know? And I disturb his peace. Well, and you know, I went on about my way. I probably went to rehearsal, but one of our other roommates who had been in the first Gulf War, you know, I'm dating myself here. This is like, you know, he was like an Army medic. He was a real no-nonsense fella from Cullowhee, North Carolina. And he was like, my friends told him what he saw on the second floor. And of course, you know, the Army pal is just like, that is a bunch of, you know, I can't say what he said, but I'll just say that's a bunch of horseradish. I think that's right. But he sort of put him on blast like a public spectacle and sort of like made fun of him. And the next day, like if you're writing a script, who's the person that's gonna
Be him.
Yeah. So my Army buddy gets the comeuppance. He's coming downstairs around the same time of the day. He's coming down. Now the thing came out of his room and went down the stairs because his room was right across from the stairwell. So he's coming out of his room the next day and he's going down the stairs. He said that there was a shadow that was waiting at the bottom of the stairs that moved along the wall towards him, came off the wall, went through his shoulder, and just disappeared.
Wow.
And this is the same like pattern as the guy going down the stairs.
Yeah.
But the strange thing is when I said, well, what was it? He said like the title of a chapter. He was like, whatever it was, it didn't belong there. It didn't belong there. It was the way he said it. He's like, it didn't belong there. So you got these two things, but mind you, I don't know any of these things are happening. Meanwhile, another roommate who had set up downstairs in the basement, he one time fell asleep in the front room and he said he woke up on the couch and he looked and there was this like old man sitting quietly on the edge of the couch, just sort of staring at him. And then he sort of like drifted back to sleep. So the sort of pattern of this person, whoever
Yeah.
this,
And it's happening at the front of the house.
it's happening at the front of the house. It's also happening on the stairs. I remember the night that I'm a big sports fan, so things always are tied to sports. It was the night that the Lakers beat the Pacers for the NBA title in 2000. We all were watching in the front room. I was dating this girl. She was sitting at the end of the couch. As she looked through the front room glass, you could see the top landing of the stairs, and you could see a portion of the stairs, and then it met it was obscured by the doorway of the room that you're in. So you could see somebody come down around the corner, and then they would disappear for a second, and then they would come into view.
Right.
Well, she said that she had seen, while we're all hooting and hollering about this game, just imagine a crowd full of people in the front room just having fun and really invested in this game and stuff. And this one girl sitting at the edge of the couch looking up as just the collarbone and the head portion of a man turns the corner at the top of the stairs and descends silently before going out of view because it's behind the wall, but
Right.
then it never comes around the corner. So it's like this puzzle piece that just hangs in the air and just sort
Oh
of
my
disappears.
gosh.
Again, I don't know these things contemporaneously because nothing's happened.
She didn't tell you about it?
Nobody told me about much of this stuff until
Until your experience.
It's like when you live in families and they're like, oh, y'all didn't know that, Uncle Earl had a drinking problem, or you didn't know about the money, or like, you know what I mean? You're like, I don't
It's
know.
like group consciousness.
Right,
It's
it's-
like you assume everybody
Yeah,
knows.
you're like,
but
everybody knows,
Yeah.
or nobody lays it out there. So So something
Collective
happened,
consciousness, that's
right?
what I was-
So
yeah.
something happened to me that precipitated me saying like, "Hey, did you guys ever experience anything weird in this house?" And then it was like, "Oh boy, have I!" And I'm still getting stories and emails from people that were in our friend group or around us that
Yeah. That had
that
experiences.
had experiences in that house to this day. So
Oh my goodness. Okay. When we're going to take another break, and when we come back, you're going to talk about your experience
I will.
that you had that opened the floodgates, if you will.
yeah.
All of this. We'll be right back. Welcome back. We are here with our favorite layabout, Scott Witchman.
Shiftless layabout.
Shiftless. Let me qualify that. Okay, so we're talking about this house that's in Richmond in
Yeah.
the Fan District.
It's in the Fan, yeah. And
Yeah.
obviously I can't give it away where its location, but it was big. It was big enough to accommodate 6 knuckleheads. And it was sort of, when we moved in, it was sort of quiet, and I don't think that anyone had lived in it for a while. And we were talking during the break that I think we kicked up some dust.
Activity,
Yeah, we kicked
yeah.
up a ruckus because whatever was in there was reaching out to people in different ways. Like the guy, I called him the man upstairs. So the man upstairs, or like the nowhere man, because he was never where you thought he was. And there was one day in, I think it was July of 2000. And when you live with 6 people, and you know when they're not home, when they're like, a bunch of people's out of town, a bunch of people are like doing jobs and stuff. There was this one day that landed like manna from heaven where I was the only person alone in the house. It was a Sunday, and we were doing a production of Hamlet at Richmond Shakespeare Festival, and I played Bernardo, who says the first line of this day. He says, "Who's
Yeah.
there?"
Yep.
He says, "Who's there?" So I'm downstairs on our old like archaic dial-up connection. Welcome, AOL, right? And
Got mail.
yeah, you've got mail. And I was on the computer, and I was like checking out like ESPN and stuff. And then I talked with a buddy of mine on the phone, and it was around 3:30, and I was waiting to get a ride to rehearsal. And we were supposed to do a rehearsal for Hamlet, and it was like threatening to rain, and a lot of us were like really hoping that it would rain because
Yeah.
it was an outdoor show. So we're like,
okay.
oh, maybe we'll get the night off. So I'm looking, and it's really overcast, and it's very sort of gloomy in the house. Like it was very sort of isolating, but still, I didn't have anybody. There was nobody home. There hadn't been any movement in the house for hours. I was just like, I had a cup of coffee. I'd listened to my own music. I was just sort of, so I'm sitting there, and directly above me, there's like heavy footfalls, like boom, 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 boom down the main hallway. And then they just stopped. Like someone just turned the radio volume up and turned
Yeah.
it all the way down just as fast. And the strange thing was that there was no preparatory steps. Nobody moved into position to make these loud noises. I was sitting in the quiet, because when you live with 6 people, it's never quiet. And so you're glad that it's quiet. That quiet was like broken just like the first crack of a rifle on the morning shooting range, just like pow. And I just kind of sat up because A, there was not supposed to be anybody in the house, but also B, where did this person come from? Where'd it come from? It just started. And so it went right down the hall, and it stopped, and then it completely vanished.
Disappeared, yeah.
And of course, I broke the cardinal rule of every horror movie. It was like I went upstairs to look for it. And as I'm coming around the corner, I've got my hand on the newel post of the stairs, and I'm ascending the stairs, and they're creaking underneath me. And as I get about halfway up the stairwell, it feels like I'm entering a field of static electricity, like when you put your hand on an old cathode ray tube television. Kids, it used to feel like snap, crackle, and pop, right?
Just kind of this crackly.
It was this crackly, like
you
static.
feel it kind of.
Yeah, and it
Yeah.
felt like that, and it felt, and I pushed through this, and it was like just strange. And then I get to the top of the stairs, and I'm looking in all the rooms, and there's no one there. But I just heard someone very definitively walking, like with heavy boots, almost comically, because it was so over.
like they wanted you
It
to
was
know.
so over the top that it was
Yeah.
like boom, 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 and it was like, are you trying to get my attention? So I get up and I'm looking through all the rooms. There's nobody in there. And then I start feeling like from around the corner in the hall, like, I don't know if you've ever been, I can't imagine you would have been in this situation ever, but you ever been in a room where you feel just malice towards you? Like, I can't, yeah. So anyway, it was like, I don't think so.
Moving on.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm in show business. Happens every day. Yes, from the audience. But anyway, it feels just like this sort of real
Angry.
ill will, like this
Yeah.
anger, right? And then it feels like something is about to manifest in front of me, which is a very weird anticipatory feeling. You're like, so you got
I have felt that.
the noise out of nowhere,
Yeah.
the static electricity, the nobody in any of the rooms, and then this feeling of like something is about to just
Something's
reveal
gonna
itself.
happen.
And just at the apex of that feeling, again, if I'm writing a movie, what do I do? The phone rings. And it's echoing through this cavernous house.
How
It's-
high did you jump?
I was like, whoa. And it was one of those cordless phones from like the 80s, 90s, you know, just made
Yeah.
this like hollow, soulless corporate ring. And I just ran down the stairs. I grabbed the phone. It's my buddy who was playing Hamlet. And he was like, hey, you know, they live down the street. He's like, are we coming to you to pick you up or are you coming to us?
Yeah.
And I said, I'm coming to you. And I hung the phone up and I like locked the door behind me and I left. And the weird thing to me is like, if someone was in your house and your friend called, you'd be like, someone's in my house.
Yeah.
Like, I need to call the cops. I didn't mention it to him. I just was like, that there was something, and I love a
For
good,
all you know, it could have been about to manifest itself and say, "Hey, avenge my death."
Yeah,
because
you're right.
my brother just killed me. To
right,
playing
exactly,
along with the Hamlet thing.
exactly.
It's-
And I'm like, slow down. I gotta write all this down.
Let me get a paper. Hold on.
I'm not Hamlet. Yeah, I'm Bernardo.
You want this guy?
You want this guy, right? Hey, Horatio. come-
Michael's just dying over here.
So anyway, it was this crazy experience. And of course, after that happened to me, then I'm like, you guys, and then they start telling me all of these
Let's
strange
sit down
stories
and talk about it.
Yeah, like one of my roommates says, hey, you know, my sister came to visit with her little daughter, and we were here on like a Sunday afternoon when no one was here. We set my daughter up with the laptop so she could play video games on the laptop, and we had to talk about some family business in the other room, and the daughter, who was like 10 years old, comes into the room and they're like, just a minute, honey, we're going to go to dinner in a little bit. And she's like, yeah, but there's a man in the other room and he looked at me and I don't like him. And of course,
Oh my word.
yeah. And so things like that would happen.
Yeah.
And I would tell folks and they would tell me, oh yeah, I never really liked your house anyway. And that's when I heard about these other experiences. But so I had attempted to make put some of these recollections on like a podcast, and I got like 2 episodes into it, and then of course life happened. But when I shared some of these experiences, I got people reaching back to me going, "Oh man, I never told you this." So I have this one buddy who he's actually from Hampton Roads. He came over one morning during the beginning of March Madness. You know, they have games on all day. Well, we gave him a key. We're like, you can come and go as you please. And he was like, we were all at work. Everybody was at work or something. And he comes over and he puts a bunch of refreshment in the fridge for later on for everyone. And he sits in the front room, that glassed-in front room, and he's like sitting there watching TV, watching the basketball games. And from the kitchen, he hears all of the pots and pans being thrown around. So he gets up and he's like, you know, knowing this place that somebody probably just wanted to cook one item. You know, they're probably home. So he goes in the back to the kitchen and there's nothing out of place. He's like, that's strange. So he heads back towards the front room. And as he's heading back toward the front room, all of the upstairs doors on the second floor are slamming in quick succession as he's making his way to the front room. So imagine walking towards the front room and all 7 rooms upstairs slamming in sequence. He just walked all the way to the front, took his keys and split, and didn't tell me that had happened until last year.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm still getting people
Michael's
who are like, they're like, oh, that house was strange. So I looked the house up on Zillow. I only lived there for 8 months. I drove the property value way down. But I was only there for 8 months, right? In 2000. And they had sold the property, but in like 2003 or 2002, someone bought the house for like $300,000. So it was a big place. And if you look at the Zillow listing for 2003, 1 year later, they sold it for $200,000.
I was going to say 180.
They took like a $100,000 bath on this house,
Yeah.
which of course, could be a confluence of factors. But if you're trying to put a ghost story together, that's the perfect,
Yeah.
strange, perfect little coda on the end of it. And it was just,
crazy.
it's just bizarre. So
Yeah.
every time I think, you get one strange experience like that. And the thing is, it lingers, the level of strange fear, anxiety that I had walking up those stairs is unlike anything I've ever. So when people say, yeah, something strange happened to me, I saw this thing, there could be a million normal explanations, but the story is just wonderful.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing yours. That was incredible. I think we've had a fun ride
Yeah.
today. Absolutely. Thank you. Scott Wichman, you are awesome. Thank you
Thank
for
you
coming
so
and
much
sharing.
for having me.
Thank you for riding so quickly down here and with your Marley's, Jacob Marley's chains behind you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Flying in the wind.
And come and see us at the Virginia Stage Company. We're doing a Merry Little Christmas Carol and a Sherlock Carol in repertory. That means we're doing them on alternating nights from December 4th to the 28th. virginiastage.org. You can get tickets. You can see me, stop me in the lobby afterwards, and you say, "Oh, and tell me your ghost story."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And then come on here and tell me your ghost story.
This is the
Come on
place
to
for
Ghost
it.
Tales. And yeah, if you're at home and you're thinking, hey, I've got a neat story to share, you can email me at Ashley, ASHLEY, .night, KNIGHT, at wavy.com. Ashley.knight@wavy.com. All right, we are so over time, but thank you so much, Scott, for being with us. And I hope we didn't give you any nightmares, everybody. We'll see you next time on Ghost Tales.